Hey everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm talking today with Ehab. Hello.
Hi, Christian. Thanks for
It's
having me
great to see
today.
you. It's great to have you.
Excited to be one of the amazing people that you have on your show. So, thank you for doing that, highlighting what we do, giving back to the community. So, looking forward to our chat.
Well, hey, I mean the whole award is about rewarding you for what you've done and giving to the community. And so this is just I'm just trying to help amplify, those good works. But so for folks that don't know you, who are you, where are you, and what do you do?
Sure. My name is Ehab. I'm based in the UK. I live in London. I got awarded my MVP award just this past week. It's almost been a week. Exciting
So long
times.
ago. I know. Yes.
Yes, yes. So, my role is a principal architect at Transparity. We are the most accredited Microsoft partner here in the UK. We are a Microsoft only house. About me, I've been working with Microsoft technology since SharePoint 2007. So that gives my
Yep.
age away.
Yep.
Since, if you remember the SharePoint designer days and the tables, that's how much fun I had with the SharePoint since then, and I kept being involved in the space. I started in the education sector. I worked for a university, and one of the first projects that I've done with SharePoint is an integration between the internal SharePoint document library content and what they used to call the VLE of the company. So to allow the lecturers back then to finish their drafts, publish it, so they share with the students. That was fun, and yeah, worked with other web technologies until we got to the cloud era, and I was heavily involved in that. Big segment of my career was in the creative sector, and I used to do their digital services. So we do the extranets on SharePoint back then. Imagine the fun.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the biggest question back then, how to make SharePoint not look like SharePoint. So
Right. Of course.
yes, so that was a big part of my career. And our company was Omnicom, which is US based.
Yep.
It's a huge company, and I used to work with colleagues in the US, in Europe, and we worked with huge clients on very interesting projects. One of which was for BlackBerry when it was a thing back then.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it was,
I
and
was using BlackBerry like when I joined Microsoft in 2006. I got harassed daily about the fact that I was still on BlackBerry at the time, and
yeah,
and was kind of forced to make the switch over. So while that was unfortunate, I do like the fact that I then got a phone number which remains my phone number to this day, even though I live 3 states away. Yeah.
oh yes, yes, yeah. I didn't mind the BlackBerry back then, and one of the projects we did for them was a collab with Alicia Keys, the singer. So
Yeah.
imagine working with that kind of creative cloud to produce something on SharePoint that they will like, easy on the eye. But it was all
Yeah.
fun. I learned a lot, having challenging clients, projects help you grow. And just before the 2020 hit, I don't know if YouTube cuts the word, so I
Yeah.
moved into the dark side, and I started my career on Microsoft partner. So we do Microsoft services to our clients. So I'm modern work focused, digital workplace. I lead the technical pre-sales, anything to do with SharePoint, MS Teams, Viva Suites,
Yep.
automation. So basically, we speak to the client, what is
The
it they
full stack.
need,
Yep.
and we take it from there. But like we said before the call, I'm also very SharePoint focused. That's how I started my career, and I do love the technology.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, having started as a SharePoint MVP and traveling around the world back when they were named the SharePoint Saturday events were all over the place. And I
Yes.
mean, thankfully, I worked for an ISV that would bankroll the travel to send me as their kind of face of the company and of the products to around the world to these various events. And while that kind of evolved and changed, and even those events which I've put on, I've personally organized dozens of those free community events. You don't see as many of them these days, and they've rebranded, and now you have like collab days, which is more like Asia Pacific and Europe. You've got the
Yes.
community days platform, which is officially Microsoft, supported. They talk together, and I mean, there's just other names for it.
Yes.
Um, so part of it, like even I say that there's not as many events these days. I mean, there are, but it's just more diversified in the topics. I mean, the SharePoint Saturday model was stolen off the back of like the model of doing the events off of SQL Saturdays, and they probably took that from someone else. And community days is much the same structure of that, but you have AI events going on, Power Platform events going on, Dynamics things that are popping up,
Absolutely.
and so it's so now you go to an event, and we're talking about this for ours next spring,
Yes.
where it's not just going to be a collaboration focus like the SharePoint teams focus. We're actually going to join forces with the SQL user group and the Dynamics user group and create one event. So it'll be like a mini Ignite, I guess.
Nice.
But
Sounds
then how
good.
do you market that? I mean, the problem is if you've got 8 rooms with 8 sessions that are going with like 400 people at this event, I mean, that's a great event. But if you are a sponsor that only does Dynamics and 3/4 of the people at this event are not your audience, it's going to be tougher to on that expanded topic to pull
True.
in sponsors. But anyway,
True.
that's just
Unless you do some social media content from that, maybe to
well,
target audience targets.
we're gonna try and do that, but yeah, it's interesting where we are with community, where it can be more difficult to stand out because it's again when SharePoint was on fire and growing rapidly and everybody's attention was towards that, it was easy to go have a SharePoint focused event where you might have other technologies and how they work with SharePoint. But now you have where SharePoint has moved into more of the background. It's just an infrastructure piece. It's so dominant out there, but it's the back end to so
Yes.
many of these other solutions. But you don't see as much SharePoint content, even though it's still needed,
True.
still out
True.
there.
It is a start. That's a very interesting point you make there, Christian, because I've been talking about this with a few of my colleagues and other active members in our community on that particular point about SharePoint. It is making the buzz and come back again now with the emergence of Copilot. And also, I've been in contact with the SharePoint embedded team. It's a new technology built on
Yeah.
SharePoint, but utilizes different aspects for custom enterprise solutions. And they held a workshop here in London, which I attended. So now, really, if you are looking to utilize the native AI experience from Microsoft, your SharePoint needs to be spot on.
Yeah.
Your governance, your design, your architecture.
Well, it comes
All,
back to the same reasons why SharePoint grew so rapidly in the first place. Like,
yeah,
why would you go and build from scratch for your larger enterprise solution all of the permission structure, the profiles, like all of that, the architecture you still need to do, like where are your documents, where are your files, your images, whatever you're capturing
yes,
as part of that solution.
yeah,
Um, why go build that, take that, leverage that, make it look and make the front end whatever that whatever you want, but don't go recreate the wheel
yes,
on these pieces. And that's why I think it's almost like if you look at the history of SharePoint and then getting into like the sandbox solutions and that where they were trying to again separate the front end from the back end and all that to where we are now with the SharePoint embedded, so I can go and pull the bits that I want, that I need, and utilize those, go build my solution. But it's, SharePoint on the back end. It just makes sense of where
yes.
we are.
It covers that missing piece in the puzzle when you have people, they don't want to use the whole SharePoint front end for one reason or another, or maybe they have a very strict security based requirement with that SharePoint embedded piece. Now you have the ability to do something completely custom, and to the user, to the naked eye, it has nothing to do with SharePoint. Well, you
Yeah.
have the collaboration, you have the perfect governance that you can apply on top of it. You can scale it up, add Copilot into it. I think we live in a very exciting times now. If you geek out about technology, which I
Yeah.
am, I'm sure you are as well. It's amazing past few years how much growth we had and how much things have changed to the better, in my opinion.
Well, this is a good segue then into to like understanding, like you've been in the space for a long time. I mean, I was probably only like a year ahead of you getting involved with SharePoint. Like I was, I got into SharePoint in 2005. And so my first projects on joining Microsoft, one of them was to help internally as we were preparing for the migrations from the 2003 to 2007 versions. So before it was even available, 2007 out, MOS out to the rest of the world, doing some of those migrations and kind of learning on the back end a lot of the, say, limitations of the technology there. But you know, coming through all of that, being involved in the community that as long as you have, like, what was your path to becoming an MVP? Like, it's I mean, it's always great to hear. And is your primary focus, you say, still SharePoint? Is that kind of
It's advanced content management, which I believe was launched this year to be part of the MVP, which covers SharePoint collaboration, SharePoint Premium, and it's that space where your collaboration meets your AI needs and AI readiness. So it's that next evolution of the collaboration experience. But to your question, I was operating off radar. So my interaction with the community was through forums. I asked questions. I learned a lot. We have amazing MVPs, and they're helpful. They give you answers and spend sometimes even hours. I remember when I used to have infopath problems early in my career, people would spend time to help me without expecting anything in return. So my involvement was mainly behind the scenes with our clients. I never thought to have that exposure and go out to the outside world and start promoting and provide insights, opinions, tutorials, which I started last year.
Mhm.
I was sitting watching Ignite, and I had my phone on me, and I started writing notes on what's happening. By the way, are we tight on time?
No, we're fine. Yeah.
All right, okay. So I was writing notes to share with my team about what's coming up, and I noticed there was a lot. And I thought, you know what? Let me make a video of that. I've made
Yeah.
it and I posted it on LinkedIn. It was really popular. Everyone loved it. Oh, that was really good style and informative. And since then, I started to post more, engage more on LinkedIn, and I people noticed me, notice the work, the value that I add to the community, hopefully. And I got the nomination and received the award. So I've always been with Microsoft, but behind, I didn't have the lights on me. I was behind the
Well,
scenes with the clients.
Well, that's I think that's the difficult thing for a lot of people. Look, I had the issue as well, and I'm a guy who's like my undergrad is in marketing. But I've been in tech my entire career. Is that, and I even had managers at a couple different companies tell me the same thing. Like, yeah, you're doing great things here, stirring things up. And I'll be honest. I mean, I'm the person, because a core strength of mine is going in and finding structural problems, procedural problems, fixing that. I'm a governance guy,
Yeah,
corporate IT governance, as well as in the platforms and solutions. And so I would build PMOs, I'd build structures, like, how do these teams get better? How do we communicate better? How do we streamline these things? How do we better organize the teams for that? So I was
sure.
very much that systems thinking, redesign the system, like that side of it. And yet I wasn't out there promoting the things that I was doing. And so I was encouraged by, I had a really great manager who's like, Christian, he was this like, you've got to take the time to capture and share out. And you have to do it, you have to be subtle. You can't just be arrogant out there and, hey, look at me. That's not what it's about. But it's about highlighting that, like, the content, the activities in a way, and packaging, like, hey, have you seen this? And I also add that it's out there, it's a resource. so you can kind of subtly go in and point people towards those activities. That's really difficult for a lot of people to go and do and start capturing things. What changed about like your day to day? Like, did you schedule time to write things, to answer questions in forums? I mean, did you have to adjust what you were doing to
Um,
create those contributions for the community?
sure. In all honesty, I started to have less social hours. And it's something I enjoy. It's my passion as well. So I started to follow everything that comes out of Microsoft, read from our peers in the space, watch podcasts, follow up the roadmap for the products that I work with, that I'm interested in, share experiences from working with the clients and their challenges. So part of the fortunate that I am is that I get to work with clients from all walks of life, from charities to education sector to the NHS, for example, which is our health. Don't know the US if you call it health ministry, but it's the National Health Service. And you could see it's very important, the data, and it's basically it could be a life or death impact, and
Mm-hmm.
making that information available efficiently and easily to doctors and health workers. That's really important. So I learn a lot of that, and where I can, I share these experiences, and people seem to be interested in that they appreciate the insight. And I have my colleagues in the commercial side as well. As you know, within the Microsoft partner space, we have us, the techie client facing, and then you have the commercial peeps who are the basically our face to the client to start the engagement and nurture the relationship.
Yeah.
Due to the large volume of updates and releases that we have, it's sometimes difficult for them to keep following up. And they say, "Yeah, we love your profile. We just got your LinkedIn, and we catch up with what's going on." So I started to get that positive feedback from a lot of different people, from our clients. I've been on pre-sales calls with people who know me before having that call because they've seen my content, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have that human relationship with people through content, and I've been enjoying that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a key. So and this is again something that there's a lot of people that I know, good people that go and doing things, and they sound like disappointed. Like, I went and spoke at this, and there were only 10 people in the audience for that, and I'm like, I don't care if I'm speaking to 5 people or 500 people around there. If there's people that are getting value out of that, I actually prefer the smaller crowd, so it's more conversational.
Yes.
And when you go and present and you've got 5 people in the room, you say like, well, here's the topic, here's what I was going to go through. Do you have any specific questions? Why did you come to this session? Let's go another direction. I actually I did a session at an event where I had one person show up, and it was the attendance wasn't that great at this event, but one
Yes.
person show up. And so we just sat down and did a one-on-one. Like, that person got an hour of free consulting.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, and so still in contact with that person who I'd never met before the event. So look, you use those opportunities. And um, I tell my wife all the time, she's like, I didn't really get anything out of like that experience. And I'd say, sometimes it's not about you. It's not about what you're getting out of it. It's whether the people that you're doing that on behalf of, whether are they getting something out of that. And so I've had, presentations where I just thought, hey, I just did this for the 10th time, the same topic, the same deck through this. I'm kind of getting bored with it. And somebody comes up and like, this is exactly what I needed help with. And that is fantastic. You get that runner's high off of that, as a
Yes.
community person. Well, let me ask you. So, final question here.
Sure.
So since you've been an MVP for such a long time now and are in the old timer category, I'm sure as being a brand new MVP, you've had people like come up and be like, how did you do? Like, what did you do? Like, what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about like, hey, am I doing enough, or what's the right way to look at this, whether they're a fit for the program or not, and whether they want to pursue that?
So probably this will be a bit of a cliche that's been mentioned by a lot of people who got asked this question, but I think it is true. It's show your passion. Like you said earlier, it's about giving back without expectation. Be active, show that you are doing something. And I think, like you rightly said earlier, we have a lot of people in our space who do a lot of amazing things, but they overlook the fact of sharing and celebrating that with the world.
Yeah.
And it's not on the radar. Sometimes a problem that you solve, you think it's a little problem, but it could save someone a whole day of troubleshooting that problem and how much time you
Yeah.
give back to them. So just be out there. You don't have to do amazing edited high-end content like an expert. Your expertise come from what you say, from the experience that you share. It could be a blog that you write about. It could be answering people on forums. Interact with your peers. Make sure that you appreciate what they do and ask for feedback as well. And
Yeah.
and you will be noticed. It's just about being proactive outside of our typical client-facing engagements.
Yeah, that is the key. I think what you said too about passion. So yeah, is it cliche with the answers like, but that I mean that's the thing. If you're not passionate about doing this, then it's not going to be natural. Then you're
True.
not going to be able to sustain that and do that. If you're passionate about it, like I always say that I would do the things that I do whether or not I'm an MVP. That's it. It has
Yes.
nothing to do with it. I was doing it before for years before I became an MVP. I will do it after I've left the program. If I leave the program, I don't know. We'll see how long people can remain. I know a couple 25-year MVPs that have been really since near the beginning of the program,
I've seen
and
some
we'll
people
see.
with the discs going around the trophy, so they've gone on this
I,
side
I'm
now.
started. Mine is.
Here
I've
we
got
are. That's the one.
I've got two
Yes.
on the top, but technically the blue rings now you're supposed to remove the years in between the blue rings and shift it down. But like I know I want to have it all up there as well. But yeah, one technique I don't recommend for an MVP, but is that if you lose your MVP or leave the program and then come back like a year or two later, you get a second award. So that means you have twice as
Two.
much room for rings.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
amazing! They can stay even longer.
yeah. So, well, anyway, well, Eva, really appreciate your time and getting to know you. For folks that want to find you, where are you most active in social? Where can people connect with you?
I will give you the link. You can add it to the
Well, I've got the
description if you
links and
don't
stuff from
mind.
out there that I'll provide, but
It's Ehab Al Nakib on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active with this kind of Microsoft content. People can follow me, add me, and I'm active over on LinkedIn. So it'd be
very cool.
good to catch up with them.
Well, of course, I'll have the links, everywhere. I'll provide it in the blog post and out in YouTube. But really appreciate the time and hope to see you at the MVP Summit next spring.
Yes, definitely. I'll aim to be there.
All
It'll
right,
be good to
we'll
see you
talk
in
to you soon.
person.
Yep, good to see you.
Thank you.